Good morning, everyone. I want to start by acknowledging something we often don't say out loud. You're tired. Not just the kind of tired that comes from too little sleep or too much coffee. I'm talking about the deeper exhaustion, the kind that sits in your soul, the kind that whispers to you in the quiet moments, asking, can I keep going? And if you felt that, I want you to know this. You're not alone. Because life has a way of demanding more of us than we feel we can give. It tests us, stretches us, and sometimes leaves us questioning whether we've got anything left. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it all on your own. There's a strength greater than your own working in the background, and even in the moments when you feel invisible, unappreciated, or completely overwhelmed. I want to remind you of one simple truth. God knows you're tired. And that's where the story begins. Because in your weariness, there is hope. In your struggle, there is purpose. And today, we're going to explore how leaning into that truth can bring us a renewed sense of energy, focus, and faith. Life can be overwhelming, and in the rush to keep up with everything, we often ignore how truly exhausted we are. We push through the fatigue, telling ourselves to be stronger, to do more, to keep going. Admitting we're tired feels like a weakness, as though saying it out loud means we're failing. But the truth is, recognizing our exhaustion isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of self-awareness and courage. It's the acknowledgement that we are human with limits and needs that deserve attention. Too often, we silence the internal voice that says, I can't keep doing this. We distract ourselves with more work, more responsibilities, or even more entertainment, hoping to push through the weariness without addressing its root. But ignoring our tiredness doesn't make it disappear. It compounds it, weighing us down mentally, emotionally, and physically. And recognizing that you're tired isn't giving in, it's giving yourself permission to pause and reflect. It's an act of honesty that allows you to understand where your energy is going and why. Maybe you've been carrying too much for too long, or perhaps you've been neglecting the things that restore your spirit. By acknowledging your weariness, you open the door to reevaluating your priorities and creating space for what truly matters. When we name our exhaustion, we also create an opportunity for connection. Sharing that vulnerability with others often leads to discovering that we're not alone. Everyone struggles. Everyone faces moments where the weight of life feels too heavy to bear. Admitting you're tired is the first step to finding relief and renewal because it allows you to confront the reality of where you are instead of pretending everything is fine. God sees your struggles. Even when the world seems indifferent or when you feel invisible, God knows exactly what you're going through. There's a deep comfort in realizing that you are fully seen, not just for your successes or the masks you wear, but for who you are in your rawest, most vulnerable moments. We often think that if we don't say it out loud or if no one else notices, our struggles might go unnoticed entirely. But God doesn't miss a single moment of your life. He sees the effort you put in, even when no one else acknowledges it. He understands the pain you carry, even when you've hidden it so well that others can't tell. He knows the nights you lie awake, questioning your purpose, doubting your strength, or just wondering how much longer you can keep going. This knowledge isn't passive. It's not just that God is aware of your struggles. He cares deeply about them. He sees every tear, every worry, and every burden, and he carries them with you. He isn't waiting for you to prove yourself or for you to have it all figured out. Instead, he meets you exactly where you are, in the middle of your exhaustion and weariness. Even when you don't feel his presence, God is at work in the background, orchestrating moments of grace and support that you may not recognize at first. He sees the bigger picture, the story that's unfolding, and he knows what you need even before you ask. This understanding doesn't erase your struggles, but it reminds you that you're not enduring them alone. God's knowledge of your hardships brings with it an invitation to trust, to lean on him, and to find comfort in his unwavering presence. Strength in vulnerability is one of the most profound truths we often overlook. We live in a world that celebrates resilience, toughness, and the ability to carry on without faltering. Admitting that we have limits can feel like we're betraying those ideals. But the paradox is this: it's in recognizing our limits and embracing our vulnerability that we find real strength. Vulnerability is not about weakness or giving up. It's about being honest with ourselves and others. It's about saying, I need help, or I can't do this alone. It's the courage to admit that we don't have all the answers, that we are human, and that we sometimes need support to keep moving forward. When we let go of the facade of being invincible, we make room for others to step in, for God to step in, and for real change to happen. When we're vulnerable, we allow ourselves to be authentic. We stop wasting energy pretending to be fine and start focusing on what we truly need. It's a shift that enables us to realign with what matters most. Vulnerability also fosters connection. By being open about our struggles, we give others permission to do the same, creating a space where mutual support and understanding can thrive. In those moments when you feel at your weakest, remember that vulnerability is a bridge. It's a pathway to strength, because it leads you to lean on resources beyond your own. Whether that's the support of a friend, the wisdom of a mentor, or the grace of God, acknowledging your need is what opens the door to receive what you've been missing. Through vulnerability, we discover that strength isn't about never falling. It's about having the courage to rise again with the help of others. The power of rest is something we often underestimate in our pursuit of productivity and success. In a world that glorifies hustle and constant motion, rest can feel like a luxury or even a sign of laziness. But the truth is, rest is not a weakness. It is a necessity, a sacred pause that renews and strengthens us. Rest isn't just about sleep or taking a day off. It's about intentionally creating space to recharge, to breathe, and to reconnect with what truly matters. It's allowing yourself to step away from the noise and demands of life, even if just for a moment, so that you can find clarity and regain perspective. Without rest, we risk burning out, losing focus, and becoming overwhelmed by the very things we are working so hard to achieve. God designed rest as a critical part of the rhythm of life. Even in the creation story, we see that after 6 days of work, God rested. This wasn't because he needed rest, but to set an example for us. Rest is woven into the fabric of existence, a reminder that we are not meant to run endlessly on endlessly. It's a gift, an invitation to step out of striving and into peace. Taking time to rest doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities or giving up on your goals. It means honoring the fact that you are not a machine. Rest allows you to come back to your work, your relationships, and your purpose with renewed energy and focus. It creates space for creativity to flourish and for your spirit to heal. In choosing to rest, you are choosing to care for yourself in a way that enables you to keep going, not just for today, but for the long journey ahead. Faith in the process is essential when life feels uncertain or overwhelming. It's natural to want immediate answers, clear direction, and tangible results. But the reality is that the most meaningful growth often happens in the waiting, in the moments when we don't understand why things are unfolding the way they are. Trusting the process requires surrender, acknowledging that we can't always control the timing or outcomes of our efforts. It's an act of humility, a recognition that there is a bigger picture we can't fully see. While this can be frustrating, it's also liberating. Faith in the process frees us from the need to have everything figured out and allows us to focus on what we can control, the small steps we take each day. This kind of faith doesn't mean passively sitting back or ignoring challenges. It means actively choosing to believe that each step, no matter how small, is part of something greater. Even when progress seems slow or invisible, every effort is building toward a purpose that will become clear in time. It's about trusting that delays and detours are not failures, but opportunities for growth, learning, and refinement. And faith in the process also means leaning on God's wisdom and timing. It's believing that He is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances in ways we may not yet understand. when we feel stuck or discouraged, it's an opportunity to shift our perspective, to ask what this season is teaching us rather than why it's happening to us. This trust requires patience, and patience isn't easy. But it's in the waiting that we develop resilience, character, and deeper faith. The process itself becomes part of the transformation, shaping us into who we are meant to be while preparing us for what lies ahead. You're not alone. It's a simple but profound truth that we often forget when life feels heavy. In moments of struggle, it's easy to believe that no one understands what you're going through, that no one else can possibly feel the way you do. But the reality is that every person around you carries their own burdens, their own doubts, and their own stories of resilience. Isolation is one of the most deceptive aspects of hardship. It convinces us to keep our pain hidden, to suffer in silence, and to bear the weight on our own. But the beauty of being human is that we're created for connection. We're designed to support and be supported, to share our joys and struggles alike. When you open up, even just a little, you create space for others to come alongside you. Sometimes being reminded that you're not alone comes in unexpected ways. A kind word from a stranger, an offer of help from a friend, or even a message that resonates deeply at just the right time. These moments are not coincidences. They are reminders that people care, that you matter, and that your struggles are seen. God often works through others to bring us comfort and strength. He places people in our lives who can offer guidance, encouragement, or simply a listening ear. And when you share your burdens, you not only lighten your own load, but also give others the chance to fulfill their purpose in being there for you. By reaching out, you discover the truth that your struggles are not unique in a way that isolates you. They're shared in a way that unites you. In connection, there's power, and in community, there's healing. You're never truly alone, no matter how it feels. Resilience through faith is the ability to keep moving forward even when the weight of life feels unbearable. It's not about pretending to be strong all the time or never feeling discouraged. It's about knowing where to turn when you feel like you've reached your limit. Faith becomes the anchor that holds you steady in the storms of life, giving you the strength to rise when everything inside you wants to give up. Life is full of challenges that test our endurance and resolve. Some of these trials come suddenly, like a storm crashing down, while others build slowly, like a constant pressure that wears away at your spirit. In these moments, resilience doesn't come from sheer willpower. It comes from a deeper source. It comes from trusting that God is with you, that His strength is made perfect in your weakness, and that He will equip you to face whatever lies ahead. Faith reminds us that we are not defined by our circumstances. It shifts our focus from what we can't control to the one who is in control. This perspective doesn't make the challenges disappear, but it changes how we approach them. Instead of being overwhelmed by the size of the mountain, we begin to see the steps we can take to climb it. Resilience through faith also teaches us to find meaning in our struggles. It allows us to view setbacks as setups for growth and to believe that there is purpose even in pain. Each time we lean on God for strength, we discover that we are capable of more than we realize. With every trial we overcome, our faith deepens, our character strengthens, and we gain the courage to face what's next, knowing we are never alone. Purpose in pain is a powerful truth that can transform how we view our struggles. Pain is something we instinctively avoid, but it's an inevitable part of life. While it often feels senseless and overwhelming, pain has a way of shaping us in ways comfort never could. It pushes us to grow, to reflect, and to discover strengths we didn't know we had. In moments of suffering, it's natural to ask, why is this happening to me? But a shift in perspective can turn that question into, what is this teaching me? Pain often carries lessons that can't be learned any other way. It teaches us empathy by connecting us to the struggles of others. It teaches us perseverance by showing us how to endure and rise again. And it teaches us trust by reminding us to lean on God and those around us when we can't do it alone. Pain also has a way of clarifying what truly matters. When we experience hardship, the distractions of life fall away, and we're left with a clearer understanding of our priorities, values, and purpose. It's in these moments that we often find a deeper connection to God as we seek meaning and guidance in our challenges. Moreover, the pain you experience can become a source of strength, not only for you, but also for others. Your struggles and how you overcome them can inspire, encourage, and guide those who face similar battles. God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to prepare you for your purpose and to make a difference in the lives of others. And so, though it's hard to see in the moment, pain can be a refining fire, shaping you into the person you're meant to become. Through it, purpose emerges, turning trials into triumphs. Small steps matter. In a world that often prioritizes big wins and dramatic success, it's easy to overlook the power of small, consistent actions. We tend to focus on the end goal, the moment when everything falls into place. And in doing so, we can become discouraged by how far we have to go. But real progress is made not by leaps, but by the tiny steps we take every single day. It's easy to get caught up in the pressure of achieving great things quickly, but change is a slow process. Growth happens over time, one decision at a time, one small action after another. It's about the small, intentional steps that, when repeated consistently, add up to something significant. Every positive habit, every time you choose to keep going despite the challenges, every effort you put in, even when it feels insignificant, contributes to the bigger picture. The beauty of small steps is that they are achievable. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of a task or a goal, break it down into manageable pieces. Focus on doing what you can today in this moment. These small steps create momentum, which propels you forward even when motivation wanes. These small steps are also a demonstration of faith. They say, I may not see the full picture yet, but I trust that this effort is part of something greater. Each action, no matter how small, becomes a part of the process God is using to shape you and move you closer to your purpose. So when the road feels long or the progress feels slow, remember that every step counts. Each one is a step closer to where you're meant to be. And in the end, it's the collection of these small moments that create lasting transformation. Renewed hope is one of the most powerful gifts we can receive, especially when life has drained us of our strength and joy. Hope isn't just a feeling or a wishful thought. It's a belief that there is something better ahead, even when the present is difficult. It's the understanding that no matter how dark or exhausting the journey may seem, there is always the possibility of change, of growth, and of new beginnings. It's kind of crazy, in light of the times we live in, that negative thoughts can often turn out to be true, and in many cases, it is. So it is always the possibility of change, of growth, and of new beginnings. In times of fatigue and weariness, hope can feel distant. It may seem like a luxury or an unattainable dream, especially when we're buried under the weight of life's challenges. But the beauty of hope is that it doesn't depend on our circumstances. Hope is rooted in faith, and faith reminds us that God is always at work, even when we can't see it. He is a God of renewal, of restoration, and of new opportunities. Renewed hope comes when we stop looking at our current struggles as the end of the story and begin to see them as part of the larger narrative that God is unfolding. Each moment of weariness, each struggle, is shaping us into the person we are becoming. And in the midst of it all, God is whispering to us that there is still purpose, still possibility, and still a future worth looking forward to. Even when it feels like all is lost, renewed hope reminds us that this is not the end. The seasons of exhaustion and hardship will give way to moments of peace, growth, and restoration. Hope gives us the strength to keep moving forward, knowing that every step we take brings us closer to the renewal we long for. As we wrap up today, I want to remind you of something important. You are not defined by your tiredness, your struggles, or your pain. These moments are not the end of your story. They are part of your journey, a journey that is still unfolding. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your own. Acknowledge your exhaustion. Lean into the truth that God sees your struggles and embrace the strength that comes with vulnerability. Know that rest, faith, and purpose are all gifts waiting to be embraced. Each small step you take, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is leading you to something greater. And in the midst of it all, renewed hope is always within reach. It is in the moments when we feel the most tired that God does his greatest work, transforming our weariness into strength, our pain into purpose, and our doubts into faith. Then, God wants to transform our weariness into strength, our pain into purpose, and our doubts into faith. So when you feel like you've reached your limit, remember that you are never truly alone. God is with you, walking beside you, guiding you through the process, and carrying you through the hard times. Keep moving forward with faith, knowing that the best is yet to come. Your journey is far from over, and it's full of endless possibilities. Keep going, because with God, you have everything you need to overcome whatever comes your way.